Hey everyone, yeah, you see it down there. Welcome to the video audio review of Sonic 281. I want to thank readcomicsonline.me, as well as you can also find and download this at en.sonicscanf.org. Go to the comics section, or you can Google en.sonicscanf.org. I'll provide the link down below. But you can also download it at that site or Google sonicscanf.org at keywords put in en.sonicscanf.org. Click on the comics section, go to page 12, click on the Archie section of the comics section, go to page 12 of it, and you'll be able to read, if not download, the entire issue. Now, as far as the issue itself goes, I have to say it's a nice continuation of this story arc. I like the fact that we are getting certain characters reintroduced as well. I will say this: Dulcie's design, I'm cool with it. I'm not going to deny it. I like the fact that it's still Dulcie personality-wise. It's still kind of Dulcie. We haven't seen no crashes yet, or anything, or any of her kind of being a little dizzy, saying "Hi, Mom, I'm home" kind of deal. So we haven't seen that yet. So they might throw that in for comic relief, maybe next issue, maybe not. But basically, I like her design. They basically made her into a freaking. I think somebody put it correctly in a review they did. They made her into a giant. Now we all know that in the original cartoon, Dulcie was big. Don't get me wrong about that. We knew Dulcie was huge. Don't get me wrong. But this is Dulcie Mobian. This is not Dulcie just a dragon. This is a Dulcie humanized dragon stature, if you will. She's kind of like she's kind of like, if you were to go with average size, she's kind of the size of a Shaquille O'Neal or a Big Show. Basically a giant, if you will. So, yeah, her design I think is pretty good. I mean, I like the fact that they're making her more of Eastern Chinese culture in a sense. So that's pretty cool. And again, though, like I said, you can see that her character traits are kind of mixed in with some new traits as well. She's more mature, she's more leadership wise, but she's also still the same Dulcie. You could see that she's still the same Dulcie in some ways. So I do like that. I like the fact that it's still Dulcie. You could see that. I like when she does show up, because you have at the beginning, you have them fighting off the egg army there, or that region's egg army. You see them fighting off Silver Sonic. You have Big commenting that he thought that look. You have Big commenting that he thought that they had destroyed it, and Sonic has to basically tell him, all we did was disabled it. We didn't destroy it or blow it up. We just disabled it. Basically saying, no matter what you do to the Silver Sonic unit, this Horde commander, he's virtually indestructible. So anyway, we have them basically getting overwhelmed. Antoine even says this is getting out of control, and he and Sally are being flown through the air by Cream, who basically has to tell Sally, I have to land, and Sally has to tell her, hey, keep going, you're almost to our location or to our target. And again, Antoine comments that this is getting out of control. Sally says it wouldn't be getting out of control if Dulcie was here with her team, and right on cue, Dulcie shows up to help temporarily take out the Silver Sonic unit. Anyway, she meets back up with her team, or meets back up with them, basically saying it's been a while, and that she doesn't know all of them. I'm guessing that means Big and Cream and Chip. So but she does know who Sonic and Sally and all of them are. But she doesn't, like I said, know who Cream and Cheese are. Cream Cheese and Big is, that is. She doesn't know who they are. And she goes on to say that her team is not much of a team sort of say, you know, and basically she implies that, hey, I just kind of got my team together very very recently. So yeah, she basically implies that she got her team together very very recently, and I'm guessing. Anyway, like I was saying, Dulcie basically, shows up when Sally says, this whole situation wouldn't be out of control if Dulcie was here with a team. Dulcie shows up, takes out the Silver Sonic unit temporarily, is happy to see them, says that she doesn't know all of them just yet, that being, of course, Big and Cream and Cheese, obviously, or Big and Cream anyway. And she basically goes on to say that her team's not a team yet. Oh, she wouldn't call them a team just yet, and that that Sonic and Sally and the others weren't exactly where they would say they were going to be because of a badnik horde. And this is where here, when she's telling Sally, she's kind of rambling on a little bit, trying to tell Sally what happened. Well, you kind of see that they do. That is a bit of the old Dulcie, because Sally has to say her name twice, calmly and then kind of loudly. She has to go, Dulcie, Dulcie. So that's pretty good. And of course, Dulcie apologizes. She just says, "Hey, look, I'm new at this," and she wants to impress them. Impress them. And that she doesn't know if her team is ready yet. But Sally says it's okay. What matters is she's there, and she's ready or not, she's there, and that they would like to meet their team or meet her team. And of course, that's what they do. But Dulcie offers to do it over lunch, which of course Chip is all for. Now we do meet the team, and you can kind of see maybe some similarities to the team that's with Sonic and Sally right now, because they go to what's known as the Shinjin Shrine. The Shrine, easy for me to say. And basically, obviously, it's a long walk and climb, because Dulcie's telling him, "Okay, we're almost there, guys. Promise." And they finally do meet her team, which consists of uh, Juan, uh, Gian the Tiger, which is a girl, obviously, Bunker the Tortoise, and Cinder the Pheasant. And they kind of tell you who these characters are. Like, Jaan is an ex-egg soldier. Bunker is a shrine matron. And Cinder is young and eager. And then she mentions that they're the only ones that answered her call to arms, as it were. Now, Sally goes on to say that what matters is that they did that. Well, basically, Sally says that they answered they answered the call, and that's what counts. And it's an honor to meet all of them. And Sonic has to basically tell Dulcie, "See, and you were worried." So you kind of could tell right off the bat, even if you're new to the comic, you could tell there's a history between Sonic and them, especially when you get the flashback in the next few pages, if you will. Now, Now they go on to discuss why they're there. They're looking for the key guardian, uh, Zonshin, because he has one of the last keys that they need. And we find out from Bunker that it's not surprising because he goes to the temple grounds to make offerings to the Phoenix spirit frequently. Now Dulcie has to correct her by saying, "Not lately, because the guardian spirit has been acting funny recently." Now Dulcie has to explain that it's not a spirit like Chip, because it's a lesser spirit, and it all ties into some prophecy that her mom keeps telling her about. So obviously, here's a key word. It doesn't say kept telling her about. Her mom keeps. So obviously, in this incarnation, this timeline, Dulcie's mom is still alive. It's pretty cool. So anyway, it's a prophecy that her mom keeps going on about. But the point is, it's a big and powerful, fiery, territorial bird. Now, Ja'an, I think that's her name, has to add it's the only reason the Egg Army hasn't captured the temple. Now, we do get some exposition basically explaining why, because even Cream's asking why doesn't anybody else want to help? And Dulcie has to say that the clans have been fighting over territory and ideology for centuries. And that they all agree that all these clans, despite fighting among each other over territory and ideology, that all the clans do agree that Eggman is a threat, but they can't agree to do anything about him. Now, I think it's let's see. Oh yeah, it's Cinder basically saying that she isn't that the Season Pride clan isn't happy that she left, and Dulcie says she hates it, and that it's one of the reasons that she ran off years ago. And of course, we get into a flashback where she encounters Sonic, Tails, and Sally at a younger age, where she meets them, introduces herself to them, saying she's of the Forest Clan, and Sally says, "I'm Princess Sally of the Acorn Clan," I guess you could say, or something like that. And of course, they go on to basically tell her that they all live together. They all live all in one area on West Side, and that she's more than welcome to join them. Now, of course, young Tails is a little intimidated by her at first, but then gets over it. But the only thing that freaks him out at a younger age is that she flies with wings. Now they do. Dulcie does say that being around them taught her um, what life was like when you do pick your friends by who they are, not where they came from or where they come from, and that being with Sonic and the others taught her the courage to come back and try to change some minds. And of course, Sonic has to jokingly remind Antoine about her being there, being part of the team for a while, and Antoine has to be like, "Yes, I remember her sneezing and getting my hair on fire," which is obviously a callback to the her original appearances in the comics, as well as, like I said, some of her cartoon antics and all that. So you can kind of tell it's still Dulcie, but it's kind of like a mixture of her original personality and a bit of a new personality. Now they go on to say that basically that changing tradition is a slow process, but they are changing minds and turning hearts. And Cinder basically adds to this, like basically says that like her, she's changed. Basically, adds this by saying that the people that they have changed minds of and changed hearts of are like her, and that she's changed, and that she's there, because it's her destiny to become a phoenix and change the world. So, and of course, Bunker has to um, kind of chastise, if you will, kind of like, yeah, kind of like, she doesn't pat her on the head, but kind of like, yes, child, of course. So I do like, so basically, I like the fact that at least they gave Cream sort of a companion about her age here, but with a lot of ambition. Now, Jaran explains that unfortunately the Swifts have been to the benefit of their enemies, and that the 8 clan preaches unity through strength, and all are welcome as long as they work hard, and that is what drew her initially in. Now, that does kind of tie into what we've seen in previous issues, where basically whoever the leaders are basically convince people to join because it's the only thing to do, it's the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. Now, Sally does comment that they certainly had the most organized badnik horde they've faced in a while, and wonders what other advantages they have. Dulcie goes on to explain that basically they outnumber them 1,000,000,000 to 1, and they have a rigid training regiment. They have loyalty to a leader that they love and who inspires them, and that basically the base is on the edge of the temple grounds ounce. Now, Sonic, being Sonic, of course, says, "Hey, look, you guys worry." Basically, telling ladies, you worry too much. We've got a back door, basically, with the Gaia gate, and then all they need are the keys, and that they could worry about the driving back the whole egg army later. Now, transition forward, they go and try to look for the key guardian guy, the key guardian. They can't find him until Cream and Cinder show up and say that they heard that he was heading uh, to the temple grounds that morning. And of course, Dulcie has to comment, well, Simple's out the window. And Sonic's like, yeah, well, Simple would have been boring, being Sonic. And so basically, they get ready to go off to the temple, to the egg base, to not only get the key guardian, but get the Gaia key that they need. Now, of course, we see an egg soldier reporting to Conquering Storm that Sonic's team has joined up with Dulcie's team, and Conquering Storm deduces they must be coming for the Gaia Temple, and to let them come, just like the old man tried to this morning, because it looks like the Phoenix is working with them, or at least, I guess it's been manipulated or something, because you see the old man Zorach, the Key Guardian, basically hiding behind a wall with a corrupted, hiding behind a wall to keep out of sight of what looks like a corrupted Phoenix spirit. Now, as far as the main story goes, I will say this: I like it. Like I mentioned, I do like the fact that Dulcie's design, I think, is okay. I mean, she's still taller than the others. Let's not forget, she's always been taller than the other characters. But I do like that she's got more of that Mobian human proportion to her. Like I said, she's kind of on the level of being like a Shaq or a Big Show. Like, You could be someone that's 6'1", and yet you're staring up to somebody that's 7 foot tall. What does that tell you? Or you could be 5'8" and you're looking up at someone 7 foot tall. So I do like that. I do like the fact that her team is probably the most newest freedom fighter team there is, because of the fact that basically it sounds like they just got together. So um, I do like that we get Conquering Storm as a regional egg boss, which kind of ties into the Eggman Dozen story. So that works. And explains why she was retained. I do like the backstory a little bit. This time we kind of get a backstory. I mean, we got a bit of a backstory a little bit in the comic in issue 29, but we never got a backstory in the cartoon, I will say that. But I do like the fact that we got a backstory here with Dulcie and how she met the Freedom Fighters in this timeline. Overall, though, I thought it's pretty good. I thought it's okay, and I do recommend checking it out. Hopefully, by the end of this week, I will physically have the issue in my hand. Physically, that is. So, overall, though, I want to thank readcomicsonline.org and en.sonicscanf.org for uploading the issue. But we're not done just yet. So now we're going to talk about Homesick, which is the backup story featuring Tails and Bunny. And what I like about this one is it shows that there is a strong connection between both Bunny and Tails. A strong connection. And basically we find out that instead of like in the old timeline in the comics, as well as in Sonic Sat AM, Bunny is not looked at as an aunt by Tails. Instead, she's looked at as a big sister. That's what's intriguing about this. That's what's intriguing about this. I mean, we knew they were going to change things with the soft retcon and reboot. And obviously, this is one of the big changes. Obviously, Ian Flynn looked at this and was like, well, he's only a few ages younger than Bunny and Sally, so he shouldn't be looking at them as aunts. He should be looking at them as sisters. And obviously that's what it is. Because even he says that he's glad she's around. And that he's glad Rosie, because we do find out that Rosie and Uncle Chuck found her, because it's like having a big sister. And we do obviously find out, and maybe I think they did put this in the origins for her, that she was a bit bitter when all this went down as a kid. Now, of course, they do encounter what's his name? Let me check. Tension. Oh man, I can just imagine Mega Beatman putting some kind of clip in there from the anime Tension, because that's what it sounds like his name is here. But obviously we see Tension sitting in the ruins of what we find out is a ancestral home. Basically a home that was passed down to him from his father, passed down from his father, from his grandfather, a home of lineage and legacy. And obviously he's not in a very good mood. Now, of course, Bunny and Tails introduce themselves, explain why they're here and everything. And he just basically burst out at them in anger. Saying he's not going to lose one board from this place and that to get out and leave him alone. And of course, this does shock them. Now, Bunny and Tails do encounter his family. First, they encounter his son, and Ko. And they basically explain what happened because he heard his father yelling at somebody, and then finds out it was them he was yelling at. They explain basically why they're there to him, and that the father, being the Gaia key guardian, ain't being helpful. And when they explain to his son why they need the key guardian and they need his father's help, the son Ko is basically said, "Okay, you need help. You need to save. You need the key to save the world. Let me go get my family. We're gonna settle this." And that's exactly what he does. He goes and gets his family, and it basically goes on to tell him that they've put this off for too long, and explains. And then you have the daughters talking to him, saying that basically he's worrying them because um, all he does is spend all day sitting on the wreckage of the house, and he's barely said a word to them since the disaster. And the youngest daughter says that all he does is cry all night and that it's scary. One of the daughters, I think, it looks like he has 3 daughters or 2 daughters. I don't know. Looks like he has 3 daughters, 1 son, or 2 daughters, 2 sons, or something like that. But one of the kids, I think it's a son. So one of the sons basically says the fishing has been really good lately, good enough that he could take time off and help rebuild. Uh, Kale, the other son that we've met, says that his mascot charms have been selling like crazy, and he can help pay for the materials. It's no problem. And of course, this is where we find out why the father doesn't want to do anything. I mean, it basically tells him that you can't just rebuild what has been passed down through legacy. And we have Bunny step up and finally kind of tell him a little story herself. She kind of goes on to tell him exactly what happened to her and everything, and how she was found out in the Royal Hill Zone of West Side Island by Rosie and Uncle Chuck. Uh, you know, that when, Eggman took over Mobotropolis, she ended up with her arms and legs roboticized basically because she was injured. Uh, and that folks looked at her differently, and that folks looked at, and basically it goes on to explain that folks looked at her differently because she was part robot, and that uh, she had no past, lost her home, and felt like a freak until one day. And basically, this is where we see that brotherly sisterly bond between the two, where Mutsky, obviously human here, obviously Mobian here, is asking Tails what he's doing, and Tails says, "I'm going to help her like Sonic helped me." So, Bunny, of course, this is when she was a little bitter, wonders what he wants, and this is in the flashback, and he basically mentions that he heard some kids teasing her, saying her last name like Rabbot instead of Rabbo. So we find out that her last name here isn't. We do actually. This is one thing I will say about this. I'll give the writer credit for this. We do finally get a last name for her. A real last name. It's Bunny Rabbo. It's Rhbow. So that's pretty good. It's Bunny Rabbo, and that she only got the Rabbot name because, according to the flashback, she was being teased by other kids. Now, Mutsky tries to help out by saying that nicknames can be fun. And Tails basically goes to her and he's telling her, "Look, I want you to know." And he basically looks her in the eye and he says, "Look, I want you to know that I don't care if you got robot parts, okay?" And he basically explains that Rosie took care of him, Ben, and so that basically means to him that she's his big sister and that he's there for her. Now, of course, this does pucker her up, kind of get her out of her bitterness. She thanks him, thanks him and Mutsky, and he basically promises, and we obviously see him fulfill that promise, that he's someday going to make her better body parts, cybernetics, so that the pain that she has when she's learning to walk better, because obviously this was at a time when she was just adjusting to her new cybernetic limbs. Um, basically, he explains that he basically promises that he's going to learn from Uncle Chuck and that he's going to build her new legs so she doesn't hurt anymore and that she'll be happy again. And obviously, that's where the whole dynamic between the two come in. The relationship, the brother-sister relationship between the two comes into play. Now, of course, this does kind of make tension. The father realized that he has been stubborn, he has been foolish, and that what he has had the whole time is there because Bunny basically explains, look, you may have lost your family home, but you still have your family. And again, like I said, this does make him open his eyes and realize that he has been stubborn, he has been selfish, and that he shouldn't be doing what he's done. And he does thank them for helping out. He thanks his family for being there. He thanks the freedom fighters, Bunny and Tails, for helping him out. And in exchange, he does give them the Gaia key that they need to save the world. Now, of course, Bunny is excited about it because Tails realizes that once Sonic and the others get back from uh, Chinlan, I guess the Mobian equivalent of China, that they'll finally have all the key guardians and can finally fix the world. Bunny's happy about this because it means no more monsters, no more getting depressed at night, and no more planet pieces floating everywhere. But then Tails, as soon as she says that, Tails has to remind her, but that means Angel Island will fall too. And this, of course, gets Bunny to realize, oh shoot, in all this, not confusion, but in all this excitement, we forgot about the fact that Knuckles and Amy are out looking for the shards of the Master Emerald, and that they better get in contact with them. So they do get in contact. They ask how they're doing. Knuckles basically says that they only got 3 shards so far, one from Casino Park, one from Aperos, and one they found on the way to the location. Amy explains that the Mystic Melody showed her that the rest are clustered into groups, and Knuckles has to say, don't worry about us, we'll take care of this, you worry about the world, you worry about the world. And we also find, and it's here that we find out that they've met up with Mighty and Ray, because obviously Mighty and Ray are going to help them try to find the other emeralds. And Amy has to basically exclaim that this is going to be close. Oh, and Knuckles has to basically tell her, hey, we're going to make this work, close or not. And that just means I'll have to strike the egg base and get those 2 shards that he detected tonight. And of course, this is where we see that that Mighty and Ray are going to join them on this trip. So, as far as the backstory goes, I like the story. I really do. I like the fact that you get a bit of a background and a connection as to why Tails has such a close relationship with Bunny, and I think even Sally, because he looks at Bunny not as an ant, and this is the one thing they took away from the previous. Well, no, it's all the same continuity, but the previous timeline in the original issues, as well as Sat AM, they took away the fact that he doesn't look at Bunny, maybe not even Sally, as ants. He looks at them as big sisters. So I like the fact that he's got that connection of, it's not aunt nephew, its brother sister. So I like that. I like that dynamic there. I like that. That's one change I will say I do like because I mean obviously you look at their ages, cartoon wise, comic book wise. Tails should be looking at them as sisters, not as aunts. If you catch my drift. Anyway, I do like I like this story it does because it's the first time we see a guardian at first very reluctant to want to give up anything because of what's happened to his family's home, something that's been passed down to him, and why he doesn't want to give up the Gaia key maybe. But it's thanks to that intervention by his family and then by Bunny that he realizes, you know what, you're right. I've been a fool. I shouldn't be acting like this. I should be looking at the brighter side of things. Like I have my family. They're here to help me. You know. So I like that. I really do. I also like, and I know some people may or may not agree with this. I do also like the fact that we do we get a prelude into the shattered work, the shattered to the shattered pieces arc that we're going to get in Sonic Universe. I like the fact that we're getting a bit of a prelude to that shattered pieces arc down the line, and it looks like we might get some side stories leading into it, maybe. Overall, though, decent issue. Both stories I thought were good. Again, with the main story, I like Dulcie's redesign. I think it fits her properly. It's still, and I like the fact that you get a mixture of the original Dulcie personality along with some new Dulcie personality. So I like that, and I like the fact that her team's probably the newest out of them all. That I do like. So um, overall, 281. I don't physically have it, but again, thank you to readcomicsonline.me as well as en.sonicscanf.org, which you can download the issue at. I I I appreciate you guys uploading these, and I do recommend you folks checking them out. So overall, decent issue overall. And I do recommend you guys reading the issue. I like the fact that we get a good setup towards what's going to be Werehog versus Dark Phoenix Spirit or Corrupted Phoenix Spirit. So overall, pretty good issue, and you can kind of tell this takes place before Eggman's Dozen. So yeah, and the backstory I think is really worth it as well because you definitely see a bit of a more family connection between Tails and Bunny, and why they have such a close relationship is brother-sister relationship, if you will. And I also like the fact that here we finally find out what her real last name was. We always thought it was Bunny Rabbit. It's Bunny Rabbit because that's what we were used to. But whoever wrote the backstory realized, you know what, we need to give her a last name, a real last name, and a reason as to why she's being called Rabbit. And that's what they did. We find out that her real last name was Bunny Rabot. Bunny Rabot. And I like the fact that the reason it was changed to Rabbi is because kids were teasing her with the nickname AIM and everything until Tails and Mutsky have to make her realize, hey, it doesn't matter what other people think. Mostly Tails is like, it doesn't matter what people think. Rosie took care of me and Mutsky, and she's taking care of you, which means you are basically like my big sister, and I'm not going to let anybody, tease you or anything like that. I like that. And I like the fact that he had a promise that he kept with her. So, again, very good story there. And overall, like I said, I do like that correction. I do like that one change there. It's really cool because it makes more sense than him looking at her as an aunt. It's like she's a few years older than him. She's like a big sister. So, um, overall, really, really good issue, and both stories I thought did good, and that's really all I could say. I know I sound like a broken record, but I do suggest checking out 281 either through readcomicsonline.me or sonicscanf.org sonicscanf.org. So that's all I'm going to say. I do apologize for this going over 40 minutes.